join my 90-day SOC Accelerator program. So I looked into it, watched the video, and that's what really pulled me in was, hey, this is structured, this is planned, this is something that's going to keep me accountable. I work a full job. I have young kids at home. I have had no problem keeping up with the pace of the 90-day. And if I fall back behind a few days, I'm able to catch up, no problem.
In this interview, you hear firsthand what it's like to be inside the MyDFIR SOC community. So if you've ever wondered what it's really like, this video is for you. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Steven. Today, we are joined with Paul here, and he is a member of the MyDFIR SOC community. So today's video is all about him sharing his experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. So with that being said, Paul, if you could introduce yourself, what's your background and what got you interested in cybersecurity?
Yeah. So, hey, everybody. I'm Paul. I've been in the K-12 education as a director of technology for almost 20 years now. I'm a one-man shop, so I'm a security officer as well. So that really, pushed me into the security side. And our insurance company really got me thinking about it because we had to meet some compliance stuff with MFA, EDR, patch management, logging. So, I've been doing that for about 5 years now, and that's what really, really hooked me.
Yeah, being a one-man shop, that's quite tough, especially if you have to deal with like MFA, EDRs and all that stuff. So when
Yes.
it comes to configuring and all that implementation, what's your experience like with that?
Yeah. So, one of the big things was, I didn't have visibility into our endpoints. So I really looked at, like Rapid7, Qualys, Blue Mira, all great products, but they just were out of a small school budget. So I hooked up
Hmm.
with SOC Fortress, and they have an open source theme stack. So I was able to roll that out and really get some visibility. And then, onboarding EDR, CrowdStrike, as well as Action One for our patch management. And, it's just building those automations, making sure everything's running smoothly as possible. But then, we're Google Workspace, so trying to keep that secure as well. It's
That's
definitely a
perfect.
full-time job being a one person IT, and you got
Yeah.
policies, procedures. I mean, it's anything and everything. Printer's broken to, hey, the whole network's down.
Now, I wanted to shift our focus into the community itself. And were there any, struggles, or did you feel anything like unsure about before joining the community? And if so, what ended up deciding to, hey, let's give it a shot?
Yeah, really my journey really has been with where do I see myself in this cybersecurity domain? So I've been wrestling with that, talking with my wife. Okay, what am I doing? Where do I need to focus? And that's where I think it's been about a year. I think you had like a mentor option where you could sign up. So I put my email in there, and I would always get emails in here and there. But about 30 days ago, that's when I got this email saying, hey, join my 90-day SOC Accelerator program. So I looked into it, watched the video, and that's what really pulled me in was, hey, this is structured, this is planned, this is something that, that's going to keep me accountable.
Yeah, you did mention about the 90-day SOC Accelerator program. And for those that are listening in, this program is designed to essentially have you accountable, right? It gives you that structure, and every single day there is a task that you got to do. And then from there, you just post your experience inside of the community. And honestly, everybody there is just super collaborative. And I want to hear about your experience with the 90-day SOC Accelerator program. I believe you're done pretty much month one and you're moving on to month two. So yeah, how's that?
Yeah, so I think I'm like 35. I've fallen behind a little bit, but I'm about 35 days in. And, the beginning was pretty straightforward, it's your basic security plus. But it was once we started diving into like MITRE attack that I was like, just getting the bigger picture of cybersecurity. And, I think I've heard it before. The farther right you are on the MITRE attack, the worse you
Yeah.
are. You want to be on the farther left. So, I mean, it's been great. It's been manageable to keep up. And so especially in the early, if you miss a few days, you can catch up no problem. So, I work a full job. I have young kids at home. I have had no problem keeping up with the pace of the 90-day. And if I fall back behind a few days, I'm able to catch up, no problem.
Perfect. Yeah, and that is structured intentionally too, right? Understanding that everybody has, a full-time job, they're busy, personal life and all that stuff. So yeah, the 90 days, although it's nice to follow it every single day, like that is the plan, that is
Hmm.
the ultimate goal. But even if you missed a couple days, I mean that's all fine and dandy there. When it comes to the MITRE attack framework, I wanted to hear about your experience. Before joining the community, were you pretty familiar with it, or was this something that it's like a new concept that came in mind?
Like, I've heard of it, but it was more theory based. I think it was Trusted Sec I saw it from, and I think his name was
Yes.
Carlos. He was, he's like Sysmon. He was telling me, or not telling me, just his video. He was like, you'd be amazed at how much coverage you get with Sysmon. So going through that, just I think it was been like 3 4 days ago, I went through the minor attack on the 90-day SOC. And that's when it started clicking. Okay, the techniques, tactics, procedures, and looking into it. And we had to do a little daily prompt,
Mm,
just a, recap of what you learned. And what I is like, which one was the hardest one to detect? And it was on exfiltration, and it was data size limit. So, just looking at that, I was thinking, you know what, that'd be really cool to, maybe look at in my own home lab would be
mhm.
how would I mimic this and then using, Zeek or Snort to detect that.
Yeah, data exfiltration is something that's pretty tough to detect. And the beauty about the community also is that we do have a SOC simulator, right? And within that environment, we could start simulating attacks and actually do that kind of stuff. That way, members like yourself can take a look at what kind of telemetry that actually
Mhm.
generates and try to start building your own detections to hopefully detect that kind of activity going forward. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool things that we can do within that environment. How did the community change the way that you approach learning cybersecurity or even handling investigations?
It gave me some real world examples.
Okay.
Going to that SOC simulator, it was very overwhelming because I was like, I have our internal one, but it's all our data, and I'm comfortable with it. I see it day in and day out. Nothing stood out so far that's been malicious. But going into that SOC simulator, it's like, okay, this is like, it's not real, but it's based on real life
Yeah.
example. So it's like this could happen. It was I forget which one it was, but it was like 14 uh alerts, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like deer in the headlights, like what do I do? And then thankfully, I think it was like the next day you put a video out, and that gave me, a little bit better confidence because that's the first time I've ever been in the SOC simulator, seen Defender Portal, working with KQL. So I was highly uncomfortable and just like, where do I even begin? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so there's definitely a lot of resources just from your YouTube, but inside the community, there's so much more.
Yeah.
You could even post, "Hey, I'm having issues doing this," and somebody will just reach out, "Hey, this is what you need to look for," or give you a different approach. So even though it's overwhelming, there's a lot of support, from yourself, Stephen, as well as the community.
Yeah. It's such a different skill set whenever like you're learning cybersecurity on the side, but then when you're faced to actually apply that skill, that's when you're like, oh man, I know this, but I don't know it at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of described that pretty clearly there, like deer in the headlights, right? Whenever you get a bunch of alerts right in front of you, which is realistic in a SOC environment, oftentimes it's like, what do I do from here? Right? And that's the
Mhm.
habit and the skill set I'm trying to build for everybody in the community there. While you're tackling these alerts and investigations and even some of the requests that the client has asked, how was your confidence or mindset changed since joining and tackling these?
I would say for sure the CTF that we just went through, that's where
Yes.
I like it started clicking for me, I would say. That's where I was like, I got exposure from, the shock of 14 incidents and alerts
Yeah.
to how you'd walk through it. And that CTF, even though like I was focused on finding the flags, I had to step back and say it's not the real goal. Like that is the goal, but it's not the real goal. It's how you're gonna do your full your documentation, the investigation, mapping it. So going to that, I had a better KQL experience. I was able to
Mhm.
build much better um, searches and queries and look at the data and start piecing it together to say, you know what? Okay, let's first see where they, came in initially. Okay, did they expand it? Was this a brute force? So you were, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it now, but I guess it's over.
Yeah,
But,
go for it.
I was like, okay, let's go ahead and look at how many failed attempts prior was from this IP address, and 4625 were failed logins. That
Yeah.
that confirmed, and I was able to map it to MITRE to say, hey, this was a brute force. They tried multiple times. I think it was like 34 times before they successfully achieved their goal of, account compromise of the administrator account, got in, and how they moved laterally. And then seeing those breadcrumbs of, okay, they did Who Am I?
Hmm.
Net exact. They imported Active Directory module. And I'm not 100% sure on the reasoning behind that, beyond just trying to cloak into, okay, this is maybe normal admin activity. You got to put yourself in the mindset of an attacker. Okay, well, why did they do this?
I'm happy to hear that. And for those that are listening in, yeah, we did do a CTF earlier this week, and Paul was actually first place. So I'm very proud of you for doing that. And it's not easy, right?
Yeah,
The entire CTF, there was about, I believe, 24 flags, including the bonus. If not, then 25.
yeah,
But yeah, like it wasn't easy, right? Especially
yeah.
if you never had any experience investigating. And I believe with KQL, like, do you
Mhm.
have any experience using KQL, or was this the first time?
No. The most experience I had was with I'm familiar with Wazoo and Graylog a little bit. I actually sort of like KQL a little bit more. It just
Yeah.
seems to flow a lot
Yeah.
easier. And I was like, I actually do like this a little bit better. So, even with ChatGPT, I was like, okay, there's got to be a way that you can look at the events, processes, and files. There's got to be a way to like correlate all this data together. So ChatGPT, it tried to help me, but it just wasn't doing what I wanted. But it did give me the union operator. And I'm
Okay.
like, okay, what is this? So I went to Microsoft's documentation, and I was able to decipher it enough that I could build a query that took those three data sources and pull it together and gave me a bigger picture of the events of a file creation, and then was able to sort out the noises because there was like a bunch of blank PowerShell file names. I was like, okay, clear all those out. I don't need to see those. And then and I honed in on a process ID that a lot of the activity from this PowerShell that it occurred from. So I was able to build,
Nice.
in my book, more advanced query that gave me more better visibility into the full chain.
Mm. Mm. And that's key. You mentioned documentation and ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT obviously is going to give you like random information
Yeah,
sometimes, but it's very good to give you that first baseline and what to work with. And then you went even further with the documentation, and you mentioned event IDs or the process ID, sorry.
yeah,
And then from there, honestly, the parent-child relationship, that's actually the key, right? As long as
yeah.
you figure out hey, this is the PowerShell that spawned X, Y, and Z. As long as you
Uh-huh.
start to follow those chain of events, you will quickly find out a lot of the nefarious activities there.
Yeah, and that's with like
Yeah.
the attention or additional details. I didn't know about that field right away,
Yes.
and you got to
Yeah.
scroll far right for it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's even more information in this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's inside of the device event table, right? And it's
Hmm.
something that we learn every day. And honestly, I didn't even realize that there was a additional fields column until I was doing this investigation as well. So then it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, that actually has a lot of information. So something I put in my notes as well and going forward for my investigation too. So I do have two more questions for you, Paul. The first one is, how does this community compare to other programs or maybe even courses that you've tried previously?
Uh, so I haven't done too many programs or courses. I've tried like Hack the Box as well as Let's Defend. Like they're good, but I just didn't stick with it. And I just don't know, like, that's how I perceive it as. I just wasn't ready at that time. So getting that email initially from you, I was at that point where like, okay, you know what? If I'm really passionate about cybersecurity, which I am, that this is an area I want to get into, I need to fully commit. So that's why I think this will definitely work for me is I'm committed to it. And then being part of the community. I mean, it's great to see everybody's achievements. And anytime I comment on anybody that says, hey, this is me, this is my
Yeah.
first time or I'm transitioning, is welcome aboard and make sure you're consistent. That's the key. So, I mean, it's definitely around the community and having like-minded people that will help you succeed. And that's what definitely maybe the other ones. And like I said, I didn't fully commit to it, but this is a pretty active community. So the more people that join, it's definitely going to benefit the community that it's
Mhm.
like-minded people with the same goal that wants everybody to achieve.
Yeah, for everybody that's listening in, we have a weekly meeting, a weekly hangout meeting where we honestly we just talk about random stuff. Sometimes we could even do like labs together or
Mhm.
maybe just talk about any kind of questions or answers and things like that, like Q&As. But this time around, there is actually going to be a guest speaker, which is quite nice. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the last question that I have for you, Paul, is if someone's watching this and thinking about joining, what would you tell them?
It's a very deep question, almost like the meaning of life.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you're really serious about becoming a SOC analyst, a security engineer, that's where I think my ultimate goal is security engineer, detection engineering, and threat hunting. This is a community for you. You won't be disappointed, but you got to commit yourself to it. Like anything you do, you've got to be full, all in. And this is a great community to grow and thrive in. Stephen, thank you. I mean, you're very active in there. I mean, you would expect that, but you're active, you're like, hey, DM me if you have questions. And even to other community members like Mohammed, I mean, he's great. He's stellar. He's always sharing stuff that he's working on, but you got to be active in the community. And once you join, I mean, we'll just continue to cheer you on and make sure you're growing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for jumping on. Do continue with the CTF report and then finish
Yes.
that up and send it over to me because I would love to see what you come up with.
Oh, definitely. Oh, and I guess the only other thing I would say is it's just not from a technical standpoint. I mean, you get career readiness, job prep, as well as a portfolio to help you achieve these goals as well. And to me,
Yeah.
that's like one of the key things that I've heard. I'm doing a MSISAC mentorship. It's a nine month program, and we just had ours on Tuesday, and that's one thing we discussed is being active on LinkedIn. Make sure you're connecting with people and networking. I mean, this is another reason why you should join. I mean, you're going to build the portfolio, get some job readiness, and you're going to make some great connections.
Absolutely. And since you mentioned that too, another pretty cool thing that I just released as well is the internship opportunities. And that can actually help you put on real professional experience onto your resume. And a lot of employers are actually looking for, SOC triage and how you can actually think like an analyst and putting in the work with the alerts, with participating with CTFs, or even performing deep dive investigations from client requests, that's going to help you build up that skill set.
Yes.
And yeah, well, thank you again so much for joining. And that is it.
All right. Thank you, Stephen.
If you are someone who is serious about becoming a SOC analyst, but you don't know where to start or how to get real experience, that is exactly why I built the MyDFIR SOC community. Inside, you will get access to the 90-day SOC Accelerator program, weekly mentorship, challenges, and hands-on training with real SIM tools like Microsoft Sentinel and Splunk. You can learn more about the community by clicking on the link in the description or head over to school.com/MyDFIR. Remember to stay curious and do things differently.